everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. If it's your first time here, hello and welcome. Thank you for dropping by. My name is Jane, and in this channel, we talk about fragrances. If you enjoy fragrance-related content, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, click on the bell icon below to be notified of any new videos going up. Appreciate you giving this video a big thumbs up. It will help the channel a lot. In fact, just click any button. It will make a world of difference for the channel. In terms of roses, I do not particularly love it or hate it in perfumes. It just has to be done right. And so while I was rearranging my perfume cabinet, I realized that rose perfumes comprise about 15% of my collection. Which ones are on top? We are going to find out in this video. This ranking is based off of my own personal preference, which by the way is ever changing. But all these I have because they made the cut. There are a few which didn't, and if you are interested, I have a video on rose fragrance fails which I will link in this video. And so without further ado, come, let's stop to smell the roses. I have an honorable mention, a constant fragrance companion, which to me is half and half, peony and rose, and this is Chloe Eau de Parfum, which I own for about a decade now. I'm not going to include this in the ranking as I will always have this with me until they probably discontinue this someday. I have 17 to show, including 3 minis that stood out from among the many samples I've tried. On the number 17 spot is Pure Extrême from M. Micallef, which I know sounds funny considering I mentioned Chloe Eau de Parfum as a forever must-have, and this perfume smells about 95% similar to Chloe. They're practically clones. Nonetheless, I'm drawn to this for obvious reasons. This is a fresh rose with some gardenia and jasmine, woody notes, musk, and amber. The reason why this belongs to the number 17 spot is I can't seem to find a good time to wear this in local weather. That 5% makes all the difference in terms of wearability. While Chloe is an easy grab, this I have to find a good time to wear. I would say this is a little too much for the day and a little too fresh for night wear. And unlike Chloe, which will brave the high heat, this would be too cloying for above 25 degrees Celsius weather. I like this nonetheless, it's just that I like the next ones more. Pure Extrême from Micallef. The number 16 spot belongs to Oud Bouquet by Maison Lancome, one of the 3 rose oud fragrances in this list. For rose to work well with oud, I feel like it has to be that sweet, syrupy, jammy type for the oud to not take over the whole composition. Oud Bouquet is her full-blown animalic rose oud combination, beastly, attention-grabbing, and apologetic. This is definitely a cold weather fragrance, and I've tested this while visiting a friend in the US late autumn, early winter, and this smelled divine. Although given my newbie nose, I had to layer this with a vanilla fragrance. Local weather, very limited use for this one unless you're visiting Baguio City on the coldest months of the year or quite simply you would like to annoy anyone. This is the perfume to wear. Number 16, Oud Bouquet. Number 15 is another rose oud fragrance in this list, Velvet Rose and Oud from Jo Malone, London. The rose here is again a sweet, deep, syrupy, jammy one, but think how Jo Malone fragrances have this fresh DNA running through them. This one has it, which makes it infinitely more wearable than any other rose oud fragrances I know. If you're used to strong, beastly wood rose perfumes like Oud Bouquet, think of this as the tamer one, entry-level fragrance in the genre. But it's a good fit for local tropical weather. Anyone venturing on trying their hands on rosewood fragrances who lives summer tropical, this is your best bet. I would definitely wear this at night. Will make for a sexy date night fragrance, not off-putting. And towards the middle to the dry down, this is predominantly a soapy, clean, but still a very sweet rose as the oud starts to fall to the background. For Jo Malone, this on me lasted a good 6 to 8 hours. The cologne intense formulation stays true to its name. A little pricey than the clear Jo Malone bottles in cologne concentration, but worth it for the longevity. The rosewood combination are probably the least favorite of my rose fragrance combination just because they are harder to wear in local weather. There is an exception though, which you will learn about in a little while. Sadly, Velvet Rose and Oud lands pretty low at number 15. The number 14 spot goes to a freshie. Rose Goldea Blossom Delight from Bulgari. It's a fresh fruity rose which I feel like even teenagers will gravitate towards. This is very refreshing, a little tropical fruity, not in a coconut sort of way, which probably is due to that papaya note in there. Think fresh, ripe, juicy, sweet, chilled papaya. The rose here has a touch of greenness, like you've added the stems and the leaves, not just the petals, to the whole composition. If you're looking for a simple, maybe basic, everyday, fresh, clean, fruity mask rose, then this one is for you. Great for even the hot and the humid of days. Perfect for spring, summer if you live in four-season climates. Easy reach, no-brainer perfume. Definitely for daytime wear. Longevity is around 4 to 5 hours on me. May need to respray during the day. This is Rose Goldea Blossom Delight. Number 13 is another freshy rose, this time more shampoo-y. Trussardi Delicate Rose. This is probably the most transparent and cleanest smelling rose perfume in this list. This was, believe it or not, a free bottle from purchase of Trussardi Donna Eau de Toilette that I ended up liking more. This has all the watery fresh notes in like yutsu, bamboo, kumquat, lotus, apples, along with some jasmine and of course rose, which is ever so transparent and true to its name is very delicate. This dries down to a powdery mass. The perfume I know this smells closest to is Lanvin Seclat Page, very popular locally, except that Lanvin Seclat is the violet floral forward sister of this one. But overall, they smell very similar up close, especially in the air. But this lasts way longer on me. Lanvin Seclat is great for 30 minutes, but poof, after that is gone. This will linger on for at least 3 to 4 hours. This has a clean, freshly showered hair vibe that will definitely draw people in. Great for the high heat as this isn't too sweet overall, just enough to round out this composition. Best of all, this is super affordable. I even got this for free and available locally in major department stores. Delicate rose, great to own if you live in warmer weather climate. Next on the number 12 spot is Ristretto Intense Cafe, a more coffee-forward flanker of Intense Cafe by Montal. I chose to own this over the OG Intense Cafe because of the stronger, more prominent coffee note. That coffee made all the difference to me. The contrast of dark roast coffee bitterness with the deep, dark, rich, syrupy rose vanilla is so indulgent and addictive it's almost sinful. Definitely a colder weather fragrance and more night than daytime wear. This will make for a sexy date night perfume, probably third date onwards, right about when you establish that you like the person enough to grow closer physically. Though feminine leaning, I think a man can rock this fragrance. That's Ristretto Intense Cafe. Number 11 is Dolce Rose by Dolce & Gabanna. I purposely did not include Dolce Rosa Excelsa as that one is discontinued and could be harder to get. This is the newest rose in the Dolce line, came out last year. This is another fresher, fruity, clean, shampoo-y rose perfume which, as you can see, I have used quite a bit of. The fruity facet of this fragrance is a real standout with red currant, green apple, mandarin orange, and white peach, giving this perfume a divine smelling opening. The angels in heaven will sing. This is a big compliment getter. Every single time I wore this perfume, someone will comment that something smells so good. Men mostly, and mostly not acquaintances. Great for warmer climates, year-round wear here in the tropics, and shines best in the heat. Dolce Rose lands the number 11 spot. Moving on to the top 10, on the number 10 spot is Princess Rose de Mai by Kilian. Whereas the OG flanker has more of a tea-like fruity opening, this has a sweet powdery rose opening. But give it about 10 to 15 minutes and they start to smell an identical fluffy powdery marshmallow goodness. In my opinion, you don't need to own both, just pick one. I've fallen really hard for Princess, so I just have to own the flankers too. But scent-wise, yup, no need to own both. This is basically Princess by Kilian with a powdery rose facet for the Rose Plus Princess DNA lovers out there. Pretty hard to get this one though. Number 9 is another Kilian, and this time from the Liquors collection, and this is Roses on Ice. This is for someone who loves a fresh, boozy scent, a very aquatic and watery scent because of a dominant cucumber with but a hint of rose buried in there somewhere. Some might argue that although rose is in the name, this isn't a rose-dominant fragrance at all, to which I agree absolutely. If you're looking for a traditional petally red rose in here, nope, not for you. This is a green rose fragrance, very leafy and stemmy with but a bud of the flower far from unfurling its petals. This isn't a bouquet of roses but the smell of a rose garden if you've ever been to one when the roses are not yet in full bloom and the plant is predominantly green and stemmy. The composition is inspired by Hendrick's gin, which is basically gin infused with rose and cucumber. Think of a cold, refreshing summer citrus aromatic Hendrick's gin cocktail mix in perfume form. That's what this is. Very unique to my nose. I don't have anything like this. A super keeper. I think this lean feminine but overall a unisex offering from Kilian. Roses on Ice on the number 9 spot. French Leather by Memo Paris lands the number 8 spot. Leather is tricky overall and made more difficult to vibe with given the heat and humidity, and so if you find a leather perfume that works for you in this weather, hold on to it. Exactly what I did for French Leather by Memo. Basically, this is a lovely rose and leather perfume. This isn't for the high heat, mind you, but this works well for late afternoon onwards, special events outdoors during the cooler months, local weather. Not particularly an everyday fragrance. I've worn this only to weddings so far, special events mostly. This smells too high-end for a casual wear. Sample on skin, wear this for a day or two and see how you feel, especially when you are from around here. Because as I've said, leather is tricky. Gris Dior from the Dior Privé collection landed the number 7 spot. This is a fresh, spicy rose patchouli perfume and to me quite possibly the best all-around fragrance for this category and also the most well-blended among all that I've sampled so far. This has the right amount of fresh spices, pink pepper maybe, definitely rose dominant with a very earthy and soapy undertone and a vintage oak mossy edge. If you've ever smelled Eden Falls from Micallef, this is the tamer, less rosy version of Eden Falls. This also reminds me of a soapier dry down of Coco Mademoiselle Intense. This is a great everyday air-conditioned office fragrance. You can also dress this up for like a dinner out with close friends and family. Probably 2 straight lace for a date night though. This is full bottle worthy to me in my wish list. In fact, Gris Dior is my number 7. Number 6 is Kbridge Club from Surjov's JTC collection. My favorite Christmas rose fragrance, perfect for when it is cooler hereabouts and the mood is festive with lots of food and partying. Did I mention that I only ever wear this during the Christmas season? This smells very close, clones almost to Intense Café by Montal but no coffee. A little more woody, oody almost. If you have other Intense Cafe smelling rose perfumes, for example, Gentle Fluidity Gold, Tiziana Terenzi's Deluxe, Vanilla Rouge from Versace's Privé line, you don't need this one. A special occasion, special season fragrance to me, pricey as well, so I definitely reserve this for special occasions only. Kbridge Club on the number 6 spot. Now we get to my top 5 and this 5 are the absolute loves from among all my rose fragrances. Taif from Niche House Ormond Jane, an underrated house might I add. A fresh, spicy rose fragrance quite strong on that pink pepper, especially in the opening. You have to like pink pepper to like this perfume. This overall smells very Middle Eastern to me. I suppose a fragrance named after Taif, a city in Saudi Arabia where a certain variety of rose is grown, would smell rightfully so. This has a very dry rose fragrance experience rather than a powdery one, but airy at the same time. This is somewhere between bold and shy, not too in-your-face rose, but has that interesting mix of fresh spices thrown in that elevated this a number of notches up away from boring or delicate. I know I gravitate towards fresh, spicy rose fragrances rather than, say, Portrait of a Lady-like ones with warm spices in. If you like fresh, spicy rose fragrances like Café Rose by Tom Ford or Eau Capitale from Diptyque or Gris Dior from Dior, but hate patchouli, this is definitely up your alley. No patchouli in here. I'd say this is pretty versatile, day or night, more formal than casual, I should say. I've worn this to a work event that isn't black tie level but semi-formal-ish. Having said that, I've worn this casually too once on a cloudy day and it didn't smell out of place. Best to layer with my Eau Capitale perfume bracelet. Not to be worn when the sun is high up in the sky in my opinion. Will work well for indoors aircon environment. Number 5, that's the Yves Eau de Parfum. Highly recommend this one. top 4 is a fairly affordable designer, Very Good Girl by Carolina Herrera. This wasn't an instant love but has grown on me so much that this is one of my most worn perfumes of 2021. Catch my video on that if you haven't yet. The rose in this perfume is very similarly done to the rose in Delina by Perfumes de Marly, perhaps because this and Delina has the same perfumer. The opening on this though I'm not the biggest fan of. It's a lychee red currant combination, kinda medicinal to my nose. The memory of red berry flavored children's suspension medications come to mind. This is probably very personal to me because I abhor taking those as a kid. A lot of you may not even get that association. But after 20 minutes or so, this smells an amazing compliment. Getting sweet vanilla rose scent. Was never and will never be a fan of the other Good Girls, but this to me in the red stiletto is a must-have. Get your nose on this one if you're iffy about spending a lot of moolah on Delina. This is pretty close. Very Good Girl is my number 4. Now my top 3 is, surprise surprise, an Oud Rose fragrance, and this is La Col Noire from the Dior Privé collection. This is a fresh, sparkling, dewy rose fragrance, lots of fruity notes in which keep this fragrance from becoming too rosy and floral. This dry down musky on skin rather than oudi or woody, but I believe that the oud and maybe the honey note in here, well, definitely in the background, keep this fragrance from smelling like a characterless rose body mist. This is an absolute love for me. If I were to keep but one freshy, everyday fruity rose fragrance, this would be it. This is fruity but doesn't smell particularly youthful nor a plain, boring, fruity rose water perfume. Having def is quite frankly stretching it for this perfume, but this definitely isn't your run-of-the-mill flat rose fragrance either. Yes, this is pricey but more interesting and chic and totally well worth the price versus say MFK's A La Rose Parfum, which is an overpriced one for such a plain rose perfume. Hot and humid weather approved, great for warmer months. I feel like this bloom best in the warmer weather. My top 3 rose fragrance is La Colle Noire. The last are tied probably because they smell too similar anyway. Tied on the top spot are Perfumes de Marly, Delina Exclusif, and Atomic Rose by Inicio. So these two are both amber rose fragrances. Delina Exclusif I like better than the OG Delina because this is creamier and rounder, and overall, my wearing experience has been nothing but amazing. Scent profile is mind-blowing. Longevity is easily 12 hours or more with amazing projection. This is a 10 out of 10 to me. This smells more girly than Atomic Rose, but that incense and oud adds depth, maturity, and a sexy allure to this fragrance even more. I did wear this daytime, and yes, you absolutely can. In this weather, burr months to January, February. The hotter months stick to nighttime. I layer this with Angel Nova. Somehow the Akigala wood in Nova brings out the best in this perfume. Delina Exclusif on skin and clothes, Angel Nova for the hair. Absolutely divine. I would like to credit Paulina Shar for that layering combination. Atomic Rose is exclusively a sundown perfume to me. Great for date nights, smell like a pretty woman, irresistible in many ways. While Delina Exclusif is more incensey and woody, this is more ambery overall. They do not smell identical, but you know that they belong to the same family, sharing the same DNA. Lasts around 12 hours on me with amazing projection. This is another masterpiece, a 10 over 10, and any two of these I feel is a must own. And that completes today's ranking video. I hope you like this video, you guys. Leave me a comment down below what your favorite rose fragrances are to date, or a favorite rose fragrance to smell on your loved one. Appreciate all your comments and suggestions. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and an excellent alternative to giving a bouquet of fresh roses to your rose-loving loved one, your partner, your mom, your daughter, your best friend, is a divine smelling rose fragrance. I hope you found something you like from this list, and thank you again for joining me in this video. Thanks again for watching. Stay safe, smell your absolute best, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!